Have you ever found yourself making the doctor's appointments and the therapy appointments and reading the books for your kids, but you still feel lost and afraid and maybe even disempowered when it comes to seeing and understanding your children's behavior? Are you concerned about their anxiety, their confidence, their ability to step into adulthood, knowing how to emotionally regulate and become independent, confident adults? Guess what? I have something for you. This summer, I am starting a program called the Summer of Connection. And this is where parents not only learn how to manage their own big emotions so that they can deepen their connection with their children from a relationship standpoint, but you are also going to learn how to help your children cope with their big emotions, anger, anxiety, and overwhelm. There's things happening deeper underneath. And I have had more questions in my DMs from parents asking me about their children's emotional behavior than I've ever had in the last decade of my career. If you're interested in joining us for the Summer of Connection to help you help your children, head on over to heatherchauvin.com/summer and fill out the application. As a former social worker and a mother of 3, I understand the overwhelm and also the determination to help our children thrive. I look forward to reading your application. That's Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/summer. So Brian and I, my husband, are on a walk. You're going to hear a lot of cars. And I hope, unfortunately, background noise might be a little loud. But if that bothers you, no need to listen to today's episode. But we decided, or Brian decided, he'll be talking about it in a second, to go for a walk after dinner. And I wanted to get my steps in. And I really just wanted to get out of my comfort zone because, one, I'm training for a race coming up in August. It's called 29029. I'm bringing somebody that's on my team with me. She's near and dear to my heart, has been with me for 10 years. And she's a little endurance athlete, and I wanted to gift her with an experience. So we are just going to torture ourselves for 36 hours. So check out 29029 Everesting if you want to learn more about it. I'll talk about it in future podcasts. Anywho, we are on Brian, you can tell them what we're doing, but we decided to go on this 2-hour walk. And I made a comment to Brian, because in these walks, you can have deep conversations. And I said, everyone in my community, well, not everyone, but I get a lot of questions in my community of how does Brian handle such a strong woman? And I'm using air quotes. And this is what he said.
I'm forged in fire.
What does that mean?
Meaning, pardon my heavy breathing, I've got a very heavy pack on my back.
You just hold the phone.
Meaning, forged in fire, Heather shows up every day the same. And it's been long enough that I've been in the fire long enough. I've been taken out of the fire and tampered, and that's how you make a sword, right? Put it back in the fire. If you put it in the fire long enough, it just becomes harder. It becomes more used to it. It becomes stronger. So I'm forged in fire. Living with Heather is constantly something that requires up-leveling.
That's his nice way of saying,
you're a pain in the ass.
We may not be married if you decided to stay the same person.
True. Very true.
So in the past, years ago, because how many years have we been married, and then how many years have we been together?
Oh, Logan's 18. So 17 years together?
Okay. So we've been together for like 17, 16-ish years. married for 13 of those. And I mean, when Brian met me, I was not who I am today.
Complete mess.
I was a disaster. Depressed, single, in school. What?
And hated men.
Oh yeah, hated men. So anywho, I remember, I think it was, I've told the story many times, but post-cancer. And I get this a lot from women of like a fear of losing their partner when they start doing personal development work. And I think of relationships, like any relationship. It doesn't have to be marriage. It can be anything. There's always going to be the tortoise and the hare, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always going to be that leader.
Like there's going to be somebody who starts first, and then that person who's like running behind. So in our relationship, I was the person who started first because I didn't want to feel like shit anymore. It was first with parenting, and then it was business because I knew I couldn't work in that job for 30 years. And then it was my health, and then it was money and all the things. And so Brian, I was always the lead, and Brian would come-ish. Not really. Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes. I was observing. I'm a watcher.
Yeah, a watcher. Very slow watcher. Slow and steady. Slow and steady. Anywho, I always see this pattern with people of how scared they get when they start doing the work. And they're like, how do I get my partner, or how do I get my children or my teenager or my team members to do XYZ? How do I get them to change their behavior? They're not listening to the podcast. They're not willing to invest. They're not whatever. And I'm like, you have to lead by example. It takes about 18 months of consistency for a partner to see you doing the work and to change their behavior. Like there's an energy behind it. I'm sure there's science behind this. Do you agree, or what's your perspective?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Most people don't stay at it consistently long enough to make the change, to make the habits, to form them, and to make it noticeable. Most people it tapers out. And I think that's the one thing with Heather is when she started, she never stopped. When she says, cut wood, carry water.
Chop wood, carry water.
That's literally a daily task. She does it every day. And it's the same stuff. It's the unseen, unsexy work that she does every day. And the stuff that she puts in her program and she talks about is what she really does every day. So I have been seeing this habits for, seems like forever now.
You know what the funny thing is I don't see myself that way. I see myself as someone who is not consistent. One thing I will say is I won't give up. Like I am determined, but I'm not wildly routined. Like, you know, when you see those people, like, they're like, discipline is everything. I wouldn't identify as a super disciplined person.
No, you don't. You're not a scheduled person.
Right.
Like, you don't need to do the same stuff every day at the same exact time.
So I hope that gives someone hope, because a lot of people are like, I don't like that. Like, I like freedom and flexibility. So I will get things done on my time. I'm also like very creative. So I'm always in my creative brain, and I don't stress out when there's still shit on my to-do list that's not going to get done. I don't stress out anymore when there's dishes in the sink. Like that shit, my purpose and my identity and my value is no longer tied to my to-do list or the shit that piles up around me.
I agree with that.
But back in the day, it did. But I also use those things to busy myself. Anyways, let's go back to this empowered woman, man stuff.
So I often hear people say, like, our fear, we have to be mindful that our fear of losing somebody or outgrowing someone is often holding us back from doing our own work. But the funny thing is I would not be on this walk right with you, Brian, if you didn't initiate it. Like, this was not me initiating it. So can you tell them a little bit about the momentum that you've created? Like, what was going on in your mind that got you to do something consistently? Because this is, I'm going to say, one of the first times where I've noticed you digging deeper in the 16 years that we've been together. Like, you've had moments of it, but there's something switched where you were like, I'm committed.
So the switch physically clicked with the Hell on the Hill event.
Yeah, like your chin.
When I physically was at this event that Heather and I were going to in Maine, and we went to walk to Starbucks, which was a mile away, not even.
Yeah.
And my body was so inflamed, I physically couldn't walk the mile to Starbucks. I had to stop many times. When I got to Starbucks, I couldn't turn around. I had to take my shoes off. My legs were water. It was awful. And that flipped a switch that I don't want to be 41 years old and be not able to do anything. I don't want to die in my 40s because of complete neglect on my behalf. So I decided to try some different things. And what I found was, just by putting a heavy pack on my back and walking, something that is relatively easy, that I like to do because I get a chance to listen to books and whatever, do some meditative work as I'm walking for a couple hours a day, that it really flipped the switch in my body.
Athletic Greens. I know you're like, Heather, are you going to fucking talk about AG1 again? Yes, I am. I am. And so is every other podcast host, because we have become addicted to this green substance. AG1 has over 7,000 five-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts. And I have fallen in love. AG1 has become one of those just simple daily healthy habits. And I sneak that shit into my boys' smoothies as well. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year of immune boosting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/EU. Again, that's Athletic Greens, ATHLETIC greens with an S.com/EU to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Amongst other things, like the cold plunge, which I never ever thought I would see you consistent. Like, I don't know. I know you use it more than I do. So, you know what the interesting thing is like, and this is the point I want to make for everyone, is you had to get to a point where you were done feeling a certain way. And you, like you just said, you faced a fear of dying. Like, you're like, this is not the life that I want. And for those listening, I want to remind you that as women, too often, one, we're shrinking ourselves to make other people comfortable. We're trying to fix other people's pain. When I have learned this the hard way, and I remember when people were trying to fix me when I was sick, but one, Oftentimes when people are in pain, if they're the type of person who wants to remove themselves from their pain, they will take the action required. But they have to feel their pain fully in order to want to create change. Curious what you think.
Well, what's that?
He's not listening to me. I asked for his comment and he said, what? I'm not listening. We're walking by a really cool paddleboard place. There's lots of people right now. So again, you cannot do the work for other people. You have to lead and start and literally be okay or not be okay with the fact that you cannot predict your future. That person may come around, but it's so sneaky. You have to watch, like, am I doing this work or am I living my life? Am I shrinking? Am I cutting off my joy and fulfillment and happiness to please someone else, to make their lives more comfortable? And I think we're at a good groove in our relationship now because we've been together for so long that so many years I tried to fix you. Mentally, I still will try, but I'm not going to stop being me or going after what I want to please you. And I would hope you would never do that to me. And then in the middle is compromise. In the middle is, I don't just do whatever the fuck I want when I want, but it's really about like communicating what I want or how I feel, but giving you the same respect.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of it is, like you said, just having clarity of what it is that you want, because clarity is power, to coin somebody else's saying. But that clarity really makes you lurch forward towards things that matter to you. And if you have the ability to be consistent at that, regardless of whatever everybody else thinks, then you'll garner the support of the people around you.
So, in conclusion, if you are not with someone who loves and accepts you for who you are today, it's not saying be single. I think sometimes we're blaming other people, and really we just need more courage to be ourselves. That most of the time, there's a lot of blame and shame going on when we just need to have the courage to say, this is what I need. This is what I want. This isn't working for me anymore. And then having the courage to subtly start changing your own habits and then being consistent with that, consistently inconsistent, determined to change. You don't have to be perfect. And then also watching your need to control other people's behaviors. And there's science behind it, but it's just the evolution of when you are in motion. Like, people either are triggered or inspired by how you show up in the world. They will start to question, they will start to ask. But just like Brian, doing his 2-hour walk and me saying, I'm going to come along, he inspired me today. And
You also said, to interrupt you, you also said you don't have to wait up for me if I'm slowing you down.
And also I was like, if you don't want me to go with you and you just wanted your own space, like, I'll go, but I'll just stand behind you. Like, I'll either go ahead or I'll go behind so that I'm not interfering with your bubble. Anyways, that's our chat. I don't even know if I'll put this up on the podcast, but if I do, and this was valuable to you, I would love to hear what's going on for you. go to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/chat, CHAT, and you can text me there. Oh, yeah. Brian's saying, don't forget to review the podcast, rate and review the podcast, a screenshot, tag it, all the things. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, because I think there's some gentlemen listening now. Just keep at it. Don't slow down. Don't stop. Let it be messy.
Did you know you're my favorite? I love my podcast listeners and I want to get to know you better. So I would love for you to head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/chat. This is a way for you to text me, to send me a video, and to connect with me. So maybe there's something that I said on the podcast, or maybe I might say to you, go text me the word, and I'll tell you a word. That's where we're going to do it. So I want you to be able to connect with me. Tell me what other episodes you want me to talk about, what your biggest takeaway and aha moment was. This is all about community. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/chat. Let's get to know each other. Why are you here? What's your biggest takeaway? What type of supports are you seeking? Who do you want me to interview next? heatherchauvin.com/chat. CHAT.